Alright guys, so we're going to take a look at the last question that I've put into the document. This is quite a challenging one because there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of writing basically involved. In terms of programming skills, it's not very difficult to achieve as long as you have a set plan before you get started. So let's take a look at the question in hand. Let me just check if we're recording audio. That's perfect. Now, this is the question I'm talking about. This is exercise 6. Okay, so exercise 6 says create a program that will ask a user to place an order from the menu provided below, this one. Show the pricing at the start of the program on separate lines. If the order is less than the minimum order value of 650, then ask the user to buy more items. If his order is 650 or above, output thank you for your order and the total cost was, and show the price. So basically we're going to create a program that will ask a user to choose what he wants to buy, and then we're going to add up whatever he chose, and we're going to tell him how much it cost. And if it was below the minimum order, which was 650, then he has to buy more things. Now, to do this one, we need to really think ahead. So, as you can see here, we've got a few products. Well, actually, there's quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And they've all got their own name and their own price. As you can see, the price is in decimals, so that means that we need real numbers. Okay. And what I'm thinking is we can create these products. We're going to make them as variables. Okay. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be checking what the user wrote. So let's get started. Let's see what we're going to get up to. So I'm going to open Pascal and I'm going to do what I always do. Write my structure. And I'm going to put a begin and an end like so. And I need to create my variables. Okay. And I'm going to start with the names on the list. So it's small pizza, integer. I think the next one was hamburger, okay. Integer again. Well, the next one was a submarine. Again. The next one was a club sandwich. The next one was fries. Okay. The next one was water. The next one was Coke. And the last one was orange juice. Alright. Notice how all the variable names are made up of one word. If I had a space here, like so, Pascal will not accept this as an integer, as a variable name. Okay? So now we need to put a price on every single one of them. So I'm going to copy this here. I'm going to make them a bit prettier. Let's get rid of this. And we need to check the prices, so it's 5, 350. The next one was 4. 450, 250. 50 cents. 80 cents and 70 cents. Alright, okay. Like so. Now, I've just noticed that they're all decimals, so that means that all of these have to change to real. So I'm going to copy that and replace all of these. There we go, that wasn't that bad. Okay. And I think we need another variable at the end. This one's going to be sum, and this one's going to be real again. Okay. And when the program begins, all of these variables, whoops, like so, all of these variables will have these values. That's quite a few variables. Okay, now, what we need to do now is create a loop. Now, in this case, the best loop to use is the while loop. And this is because we are going to continually ask the user to enter his order until the value, or the sum, reaches 650 or above. So a while loop always checks, or makes a check at the beginning. So this is how a while loop goes. While sum is greater or equal to 650, do, and we're going to write a begin and an end. Okay, but I've just realized I need to add one more variable to help my while loop. Now, the while loop, unlike, actually we don't need it. This is perfectly fine. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, as always, we're going to ask the user to choose an item to order. Okay, and then we're going to store this item. I've just realized we need one more variable, and this variable is going to be called order, and it's going to be of type string. Okay, now this variable is going to be characters, many consecutive characters. So we're going to store whatever the user writes in the variable called order, which is storing letters. Okay. Now, we need to actually check now and see what the customer has ordered. So now basically we need to make a bunch of if statements, okay, to check what the customer has ordered and to add them. So I'm going to write an if statement, and I'm going to say if the order was equal to, whoops, a small pizza, like so, then we have to put a begin and an end, like so. We have to update the sum, so the sum has to be sum equals sum plus small pizza. Okay? Excellent. Now, we have to do this for all of these things here. So I'm going to copy paste this if statement in a few more lines, and then we're going to change it. Okay. I'm not sure when it's a good time to stop, but I'm going to add a few if statements and then we can delete them at the end. Okay. So if the order wasn't a small pizza, if the order was a hamburger, then we will do sum equals to sum plus hamburger. Okay. The next one's submarine, so I'm going to write submarine here. Oops. And we're going to add the submarine variable. If the order was a club sandwich, let's just copy paste this. Copy. So if the order was a club sandwich, then we'll do sum plus the club sandwich. If the order was fries, then we'll add the fries. So here and here. If the order was water, then we're going to check if they wrote water, and then we're going to put it here. If it was Coke, then we're going to do Coke and add Coke. And last but not least, actually there's, orange. Okay, orange juice. Coke. Well, look at that. That's perfect. So basically what's happening now in this while loop is it's going to ask the user to choose what he wants to order, and he has to write small pizza or hamburger or submarine, and our program will be checking for what the user has written. Now, I've forgotten one part of the program, which says here at the beginning, which means there's a lot of things to write again. At the start of the program, show the pricing. Okay. So before the loop begins, we need to write a bunch of write ln statements. So I'm going to write ln, okay, and I'm going to say small pizza and then I'm just going to put the price like this. Okay, then I'm going to do the same for pretty much everything else. So I'm going to copy the statement a couple more times. I think that should do the trick. Hamburger and hamburger here. Submarine and submarine here. Club sandwich. And there we go. Fries and fries. Water, water. Orange juice and orange juice. Okay. So what's going to happen when the program begins? This is pretty crazy. So the program's going to begin and we're going to create all of these variables, basically every single menu item. And they're all of real data type, which means that they're all decimals. Then we're going to give them all a specific price, as suggested in the question. Okay, and then we're going to display every single menu item, how much it costs, on the screen. So I'm going to add another write ln. I'm going to say menu plus pricing list. Okay, so let's see how that looks when we run it. Actually, before I run it, I want to add another readln here at the bottom so that everything stays on the screen. This is quite a big program. We're already at 76 lines of code, but all we've been doing is we've been copying and pasting everything. So I'm going to compile, save it as exercise 6, and let's see if there's any errors. Wow, there's no errors. That's incredible. Okay, and let's take a look. So it's saying our menu and pricing list, and it's showing a small pizza, a hamburger, submarine, club sandwich, fries, water, and orange juice. Okay, now let's take a look at what's happening next. Alright, okay. So I've made a mistake here at my while loop. So basically what the while loop is doing, it's not going in. If I run this again one more time, you'll notice that I'm not being asked to choose an item to order. So basically this means I'm not inside the loop. Okay, so what it's doing is it's checking. Oh, my dog's having a fit. Okay, so it's checking to see if the sum is greater or equal to 6, and it will continue repeating while this is true. Okay, but since we're looking for the opposite, let's flip the symbol like so and see what happens. So now it's asking. Oh. Alright, so now since we fixed that, let's take a look at it one more time now that my dog's settled down. Okay, so the while loop checks to see if this statement is true, then it will continue working. It will allow us to go into the loop. The moment that this statement is no longer true, okay, so when the sum is no longer less than 650, then it will stop and it will go to the very end of my program. Okay, so it checks to see while a statement is true, so while the sum is below 650, it will do everything in the loop. When the sum reaches higher than 650, okay, then the program will stop the loop and move out of it. So let's see what's going to happen now. Let's see if it works. Let's compile and execute one more time. Let's see. Let's choose a club sandwich. Okay, and it's asking me for another one, which is good because a club sandwich is $4.50, and I need something that's at least €2. And I'm going to choose fries, and let's see if it stops. So there seems to be some problem. It's not stopping. What if I add water as well? Let's see. Nope. So something is causing my loop to not stop. Okay, so let's see what's happening. So what we're saying here is when the user chooses an item, okay, let's say that he chooses a small pizza, we go and we update the sum with the small pizza, so that's $4.50, and then the program goes all the way to the bottom and comes up again. Okay, and what's happening then? Let's say the customer orders another small pizza. What's happening is that the sum becomes $4.50 again. So that means that we need to create a new variable to keep a total sum. Okay, so I'm going to add another variable here. I'm going to call it total sum. Oops, like so. I'm going to make this one a real number as well, doesn't matter. I'm going to say that the total sum is equal to 0.00. Okay. And we're going to change this. We're going to change it to while total sum, total sum is less than or equal to 650, then it will do the rest. Now what I'm going to do right at the end of the loop, when all the if statements are finished, I'm going to update my total sum. So total sum is equal to total sum plus sum. So what this is going to do is it's going to add anything that the user ordered to the total sum. Okay, so let's take a look if that works. Compile and execute. So I want fries. I want a hamburger. And fries and a hamburger, that's $2.50 plus $3.50, that's €6, and we need, and I'm going to get an orange juice. So I'm going to say orange juice. Okay, perfect. Now the program stops because all we have outside of the loop is a readLn, and that's exactly what we wanted to happen. So basically, let's take a look at it one more time. We created a new variable just now to keep track of the total sum because we couldn't just have a sum variable there, and I'll explain why one more time. When the user is asked to enter an item from the menu, depending on what he wrote. So if he wrote small pizza, that means that he ordered something that's $4.50 because that's the value of the small pizza. So we're doing the sum is equal to the sum plus small pizza. So that means 0 plus whatever he ordered, which is $4.50. And then the program goes all the way down, reaches the end, and asks the user to enter another item from the menu. If we had just kept the sum, if the user had entered for a second time a small pizza, that means that the sum would now be equal to $4.50. It would keep on adding the sum, okay? So what we're doing is we created another variable that's used to track anything that the user orders separately at the end. It's called total sum. Okay, and now we've reached pretty much the end of the program, which says, we've missed something, guys. We've missed something. We should say, in case his order is less than $6.50, we should throw another message at him saying, where was it? If the order is less than the minimum order value of $6.50, then ask the user to buy more items. So we need to put a message. If the total sum is still less than $6.50, we need a message to the user to tell him something. So under here, I'm going to write ln, and I'm going to say, you need to buy more things. And I'm going to say the minimum order is, I don't know, $6.50. Something like that. Let's see if that works. So I want fries, and it says you need to buy more things. The minimum order is $6.50. I'm gonna order water. It says you need to buy more things. The minimum order is $6.50. I'm gonna say small pizza. It's still not enough. I'm going to buy another water and another water, and it stopped. Okay. So it seems to be working, but now we need to output a message as well. So I'm going to write here, write ln, and I'm going to say, what did it want me to output? Thank you for your order. Your total cost was, there we go. And I need to put a little quote here and here. And to show the total cost of our order, I'm going to show the total sum. Oops. Total sum. Like so. But don't forget that the total sum is a real number, so I'm going to put 2 and 2 here. And let's try that one more time. I want fries. I want a small pizza. And I want water. And more water. Oh, there we go. Now, we keep on seeing this message, you need to buy more things. The minimum order is $6.50. Now, I'm going to fix that by adding an extra line of code. Okay. So, here, I'm going to put this message in an if again. So I'm going to check if the total sum is less than or equal to $6.50, then begin and end like so, and now it should check every time to see. So let's see, compile, execute. I want a small pizza. I want a hamburger. There we go. Perfect. Now, let's make our program a bit more intelligent. If you can't see, let me just zoom in. I chose a small pizza and a hamburger. Now, let's make our program a bit more intelligent. Let's tell our user how much more he needs to spend to be able to place his order. Okay? So here we have a little check that's checking if we've reached 650, which is the minimum order. Okay? Now, what we can do is we can basically do 650 minus the total sum to see how much more money the user has to spend. Okay? But to do that, again, we need a variable called something like minimum order. Okay? So I'm going to create a new variable called minimum, and I'm going to give it a real type, like so, and I'm going to give it a value of, minimum, and I'm going to give it a value of 0, no actually, hang on, 650, okay. Remember, when we're looking for the smallest, we have to write the highest value. When we're looking for the highest, we have to write the smallest value. Okay? So, the reason I created minimum now is because here, I'm going to do minimum is equal to minimum minus total sum. So if the user ordered a small pizza, which is, how much did we say it was? Small pizza is €5. So if the user ordered a small pizza, the total sum now is €5, and what's going to happen is minimum is going to be equal to 650 minus 5, so it should give us 150. And we're going to write here, you need to spend okay, like so. And I'm going to put minimum here. And then because I want to say more on the screen, I'm going to add another comma, another little colon, and I'm going to say you need to spend whatever minimum says to finish your order. There we go. Let's try it one more time and see. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to order a small pizza. Whoops. Okay. All right. Now, the problem here is that we forgot, since minimum is a real number, we forgot to put how we want it to be displayed. Like so. So let's compile and execute one more time. And let's try it again. So I want small pizza. And it says, you need to buy more things. The minimum order is 650. You need to spend 150 to finish your order. Now, can you see that the 150 is glued to that 2? That's because I forgot to leave an extra space here so that these two don't get stuck together. So if I run it one more time and we'll try it with something new. I'll try it with water. So it says you need to buy more things. The minimum spend is 650. You need to spend €6 or 6 to finish your order. Okay, so as long as I keep on doing this, so I'm going to add a submarine. And it says now you need to spend €1 more. I'm going to buy an orange juice. Let's see. And it says, thank you, your order. For your order, the total cost was $9.50. So this is quite a big program, but basically this program's doing the same thing over and over and over again. Now, the important part here is to understand how the while loop works. At least in my opinion, one of the most important parts here is to understand how that while loop works. When I had started writing the program, instead of using the total sum, I used a variable called sum. Now, when I ran the program once, I realized that regardless of what the user would put or choose, whether it was a small pizza and then a hamburger, since we're saving everything that the user is writing in the variable sum, it means that every time the sum would be deleted and a new number would be put in its place. So what we had to do was create a new variable called total sum, okay, that would, every time the ifs would finish in our loop, we would add whatever the user bought, so the sum of whatever the user bought, to the total sum. Okay. Now another thing I want you to understand is the while loop works when this condition here is true. So it's working while the total sum is less than or equal to 650, then this loop will continue to repeat itself. Okay? When I first started, I think I had it the other way around. So basically the program was looking to check and see this loop will work as long as we have a value in total sum bigger than 650. This is not what we want. We want to get to 650. Okay? Everything after this is pretty standard. We were using a write-ln to ask the user to write in what he wants to order, and we used a read-ln and the variable order to store whatever the user wrote. Okay. The order variable was a string type because we were saving whatever the user was typing. The user was typing the product name, and since the product name is letters, okay, we needed to store it in a string variable. Just like how we were doing it before when we were storing numbers and we were using integers or real. In this case, we're storing letters, so we need to have a data type of string. Okay, and what our if clauses were doing, they were checking what did the user write. So we were checking if the user wrote small pizza. So we were checking what was stored in the order. If whatever was stored in the order was equal to small pizza, then we would do this calculation. We would say that the sum is equal to the sum plus the small pizza, and the small pizza was 450. Okay, and then it would ignore everything else until it got to this point here. Okay, and it would do a calculation. It would check how much was currently going to be paid by the customer in the total sum. The first time that this was run, the total sum was 0, so it would be 0 plus whatever the user chose in the list. And then what we did was we created another if statement to check if the total sum was less than 650. Okay, so if the user hasn't ordered enough things yet, okay, then we wanted it to show on the screen that the user needs to buy more things, and we kicked it up a notch and we made another little variable, okay, to calculate how much the customer still needs to spend in order to make it work. Okay, so we would do the minimum minus the total sum. So the minimum is 650, and then we'd subtract the total sum. Okay, and then it would show all of this information on the screen. Okay, once it finished this if statement, okay, it would go all the way back up and it would check here again. If the order is still below 650, then it would go through all of these if statements, okay, to ask the user for another item, and then that item would be added to the total sum. If the total sum is below 650, then it would do this calculation one more time and tell him how much more money he needs to spend. And when all of that is finished, when we reach 650 or at least 650, then the program would move out of the loop and onto these two lines. Alright, so this program is quite a big one. It's a lot to take. It had me a bit challenged for a moment there. Even my dog Peanut got a bit angry. I think you guys can have a bit of fun with this. I want you to try it out. It's a good exercise. It's good practice to declare variables, to understand data types, because we used a new data type here. We use string. It's also good to understand or to remember how to display something on the screen. And it's really good practice to understand how a while loop works. So in this program had a lot of things that I consider very important. And you know what? I'll give you another challenge. So when you finally figure out how to do this program, I want you to challenge yourselves and display at the end of the program here on another write-ln what the highest was or the most expensive product, and also I want you to display the cheapest product. But to do that, you need to add two more variables, expensive and cheapest, or anything that you think is appropriate, and you need to do a bit of tweaking inside your loop. Okay? So I'm going to leave you at that. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it didn't confuse you. It's a challenging one. I want you to remember that. And I hope to catch you in the next one. If you don't do it at home, you'll probably have to do it in class. I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on with this one. Okay. See you in the next one.